Is this a drill or something?
Greetings, Exalted Ones. My name is Dash. If you're anything more than a casual fan of Star Wars or an adult that enjoys Star Wars, you've probably experienced, like I have, forced positivity around the franchise. And the reason why I say this is 90% of what I love about Star Wars and the lore that I've experienced has not been from the movies or the TV show. And it comes as a hard realization that Star Wars, George Lucas's vision from the start, was for kids. And so that innately can leave behind adults and the more adult stories, plus coupled with lack of choice, as we don't have any adult mainstream media at the moment outside of the movies. It's very difficult to not be able to celebrate our favorite stories. Now, I'm going to go into the stories and how that affects us in a bit, but I do want to say that Disney have done a fantastic job with Rebels, and also the movies. They're keeping the main audience alive and stoking that fire well. And it's a pretty big job to do, because, you know, they had this bar that they had to beat, and that was be better than the prequels. Don't, you know, mess up the franchise for all these diehard fans as well, because we're hyper vocal. So they thought about that. However, they were still focused at kids, because kids and their parents are the people that bring home the bacon. It's a thrill ride. It's popcorn movies, space opera where the good guy wins, and you know, they sell a lot of toys. It's a $5 billion industry. Of course, if you follow the money, you see that's the smartest choice. Captivate the broadest audience that you can. Win. Unfortunately, if you're not a kid and you're an adult and you love Star Wars, you're going to move just outside of the movies and TV shows and start to experience the novels and the games, or if you've been a fan for a long time, you know, Legends. And you realize quickly as an adult, they're probably the best stories that you've ever experienced. So you're like, whoa, I want people to know who Revan is from the games. I want everyone to know about Darth Bane's story and experience the Sith side of things, not just the Jedi. But there's no platform for that. And it's not just because they're adult stories, it's because Rebels barely has enough time to tell the stories of its main cast. If you look at Rebels Season 1, it was about Ezra growing into a Jedi with Kanan. We learn about Zeb down the way, then Hera, finally Sabine. Sabine's story with Kanan is phenomenal. It's absolutely great, but we've barely got to her. Till now, she's been the love interest of Ezra and had some pretty cool armor and a Mandalorian. Like, that's basically it. So if you get a character like Revan on screen, it's going to be 2 seconds of him, you know, and some of them just don't fit that medium. Thrawn is very cerebral, he's very smart, he's calm, you know, he's not chopping off heads like Bane would be, or some Sith. And so, I mean, a great example is Darth Maul. If you've read Darth Maul's Shadowhunter or know of him in the comics, he was this brutal guy that just kicked the crap out of everybody, took no prisoners. The more that he's on Rebels, the more that it dilutes characters and makes them less adult, because there's only a ceiling. And I don't want Rebels to be the next Walking Dead where there's a Negan baseball batting someone in the head. You know, when they killed Oresco and Grint, they were decapitated by the original Grand Inquisitor in front of Moff Tarkin. I was like, dude, like that was brutal. But even the Grand Inquisitor is a shadow of the Inquisitors that we saw in Legends. And Canon's doing a great job. Don't get me wrong. They're putting out books and comics that are really good. But as far as mainstream, games are pretty much dead as far as story. You've got your Battlefront and you've got your mobile games, which aren't furthering the story. So a lot of the mainstream audience are either TV shows, games, or movies. Movies are doing a good job, but there's only one a year. And the reason why they space it like that is because if you look at Rebels, right? It slows down as a movie hits, and you'll notice that mid-season everything kind of picks back up and it ramps up, but there are quote-unquote filler episodes. Like that Mark Madden episode, you see it just ramp up, then it'll hit finale, boom. Maybe that's their formula, but you know that they've got a directive from Disney to slow things down when the movies come out, but still couple it all together, and they're doing a great job of making things relate. But as an adult, you want to see something maybe live action or as many stories that are more, I guess, less hero-centric and more human. Because if you see like Darth Bane, his story is a great example. I want to experience the Sith side of things in mainstream media. But how do you tell the story of Darth Bane? Okay, who's a Cortosis miner, and he didn't become a Sith till like he was 30 or 40. Now, I believe 30 or 40. A Cortosis miner is somebody it's backbreaking labor in these mines because the fact that it's so hyper-physical, because Cortosis is one of the only known minerals that can stop lightsabers. So it's hard to mine. His father was relentlessly an abuser. He used to beat him and say that he was the bane of his existence. That wasn't his real name. He took on that name. Now, Bane got so sick and tired of being beaten that he accidentally used the dark side to stop his father's heart. How do you tell that on the Rebels? You cannot tell that on the Rebels. You can't. There is no platform currently in Star Wars to tell that story. And I know what you're saying. It's always been a novel. And you're probably right. Maybe it doesn't deserve any other, like a game or a TV show. But for me, as an adult, knowing that I'll never be the target audience for the mainstream, that sucks. What sucks more is that I want my brother and my dad to experience it. And, you know, some of the hottest shows right now, whether it's the Game of Thrones or The Walking Dead, are for adults. And people may push back and say Star Wars is the thrill ride, fantasy, space opera that we all know and love. But there is so much more to Star Wars. And if you gave it a chance and everybody experienced the elements from Legends and the novels and comics in the main market, I know that they would love it. And one of the best examples is the fact they made a Deadpool movie, or they made a Wolverine. There are similar stories peppered throughout literature and the expanded universe that there is no medium to watch it on at the moment. And YouTube, if you watch any YouTuber, notice they draw from all of these novels and try and bring it to the mainstream because they're like, these are the best stories we've experienced. If you think Darth Vader is cool, learn about what happened to him on, say, Bespin when he encounters 3PO again, and the fact that he built 3PO and that his mother said to him, you know, if you don't take care of something, you don't deserve it. And he holds it to his head and he has this moment. I mean, that's not too adult, right? But there's no medium to really portray that. And I think that people have really shown that they're ready for it with Rogue One, when you saw Vader in the saber pawn, and the fact that good guys don't win. I'm not saying that Star Wars has to be gloomy and just evil. What I'm saying is that with any universe, the expanded universe kept going out to the fringes, to wild space, and telling more stories, the whole gamut. A universe has a gamut of stories, not a narrow, I sound like Palpatine, not just a narrow view of the Jedi, but if you've read Red Harvest, seeing the day-to-day life of a Sith was wow. Whether you agree or not that zombies belong in the Star Wars universe, I think that everything does. Now, that's where the question of the quelling or the crushing or the disbanding of the expanded universe comes in, because some of those stories were just outrageous. Tales from Mos Eisley Cantina was fantastic. Like, they told all of the stories from all perspectives. They could just hone this a little bit more, but I'm dying inside for a fresh batch of games. I'm dying inside for a live action TV show or more animated shows. You know, at least they let Star Wars property become a little bit looser with like Robot Chicken, something funny, you know, not just the Lego Star Wars TV, not just the Rebels, not just PG-13. I want, as an adult, something that's focused towards me. And I think that a lot of you guys do too. Disney has already cornered the kid market. They're freed up where it's not going to take too much of a hit if they just experiment, because I know that they already have this catalog of insane stories that we would love. And to be honest, I think that all Star Wars YouTubers just want the mainstream to experience the best Star Wars stories, and that's why we work so hard to bring them to you. But at the same time, I would rather Star Wars make those stories, or Star Wars make those games that we know and love, versus me tell you about it, because this is why we see so many online petitions to bring a character back, and the only place that we have to do so is Rebels. And it's like, well, we want these games, we want the KOTOR 3s, we want all of this stuff that we're, you know, there is a fan base for, but it's not addressed anymore. So I believe that And they are, like I said, trying to do a good job with like Rebels or outside of mainstream media by appeasing us. But there's nothing mainstream for the adults and the hardcore fans, and that I think Star Wars has so much potential. But the beauty of this video is it's just the start of the discussion. I'm just one guy who loves Star Wars, and our love of Star Wars surrounds and it binds us together. So let me know in the comments below. Do you want more adult elements to Star Wars? Do you want the universe to expand? Not the expanded universe, the universe to expand to, outside of the limits of just focusing on children, and Disney seeing that we are a viable audience that is so ready to consume some of their great content. Because if you love Star Wars, I want to talk to you about it. It's as simple as that, my friends. By the way, let me know what your favorite piece of Star Wars fandom is that I haven't covered, whether it's the Banes or the Revans or the Nihilists or, Kyle Katarn's Dark Forces. I love hearing about your favorite characters and how they moved you. If you want to stay up to date with the latest Star Wars videos on origins, games, and theories, don't forget to use those force powers of yours and hit subscribe. And hey, leave a comment below about what you want to see in future videos. It may just get covered. Thanks for watching, and may the force be with you. Always.